Hey y'all, this is
And
Halisi.
this is Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about travel, money, and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth. So, what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about how to get residency in two different countries.
At the same time, while abroad, because that's what we did. But first, if you are new to our channel, Rick and I are retired and we are in the process of moving abroad. But 6 years ago, we were approaching, retirement age. We looked at our money and it looked crazy, crazy. But 3 years ago, 3 short years ago, we got our financial act together, right? We changed the way we did things, and within 3 years, we went from negative 22,000 to over 800,000 in net worth. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe, hit the like button and that notification bell so you will know when we drop a new video. So let's get started. Let us know where you're logging in from. We'll say hello. Y'all know. Where did we just get back from?
We just flew in from San Francisco. We flew to San Francisco we had an appointment with what they call VSF to start our visa process for Portugal.
Yes. We're going to get into all of that, how we got Mexican residency, some changes that we know about in getting Mexican residency. We got permanent residency in Mexico. We are about to get temporary residency because that's how they do it in Portugal. And I'm just claiming it. I'm just claiming it. So you guys, we want you to claim it with us. Let's put the power of prayer and pressure and positive thought out
Positivity,
there, right?
Positivity.
So we're going to go over all of the requirements for both, and we've got 5 steps for you. So the first one is, number one, is what is the financial requirement?
Right.
Okay. So why don't you tell them what the financial requirement is for Mexico? And I'll tell you what it's on the other side. And I'll tell you what the financial requirement is for, we got our notes, girl.
Yeah,
we got our notes.
There's a lot. So
yes. So for Portugal, the minimum requirement is that you make at least their minimum wage, which is €1,100 per month. So as long as the dollar stays strong in relationship to the euro, you can think of it pretty much the same. Right now, they're pretty much in parity with the dollar being a little bit stronger. The other requirement is that you have at least 3 to 4 months of living expenses in a Portuguese bank. And how much that is depends upon who you are, what your lease says, etc. And it also varies from consulate to the embassy probably is in DC, etc. So around 3 to 4, you might want to have 6 months in there just to be on the safe side. What is it for Mexico?
So for Mexico, it depends on what type of visa you're trying to get. If you're trying to get a temporary visa or if you're trying to get a permanent visa, resident visa, which we got. So their per month is $2,593.05 US that you have to have per month and show that on a monthly income statement to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Or
there's always an or. You have to have investment and savings that come up to $43,217.50 United States USD. So you have to have that much money. Now that's for temporary. Then if you look at permanent, it changes. The numbers go a little bit higher for permanent because when you get a permanent, they really, really want to make sure you have the money.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you taxing.
And we'll tell you a little twerk that we found out about permanent residency, but go ahead and tell me.
But anyway, for the per month on the permanent residency, you're looking at $4,321 USD. And that's a month. Or investments or savings, 12-month bank statements, a minimum balance per month of $172,870.
Mexico ain't playing, y'all.
They ain't playing.
However, we know folks who have had quadruple this in the bank and still did not get permanent residency.
Yes.
So it is, even though it is not written, it is our thought that they are only giving permanent residency at this time, at least here in Denver and some other ones that we've heard about, to pensioners. Either you're retired getting Social Security, or you're retired getting some other kind of pension or something like that. Unless you go through the temporary residency for 3-4 years and then you apply for permanent.
Yeah.
But right off the bat, like we got, and she asked, "So, Halisi, you planning to keep working? Because I'm not retirement age." And I said, "Oh no, March 1st was March 1st was my last day. I'm out." And she said, "Oh, okay. We're going to give you guys permanent residency." So that was our experience as far as the money part goes in Denver. We're going to take a break here and start saying hello to some of the folks who are in the chat here.
Let us know if you can hear us okay, that we're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah. And we're back in Denver trying to pack up this house. I've had nosebleeds. It's so dry here. It is so dry here. So, hey, Greta.
Hey,
hello.
Greta.
Feeling
How you
the
doing?
heat and humidity in New York. I can only imagine. Chandra from Maryland, congrats on getting through the D7 appointment. Yes. We will tell you guys all about it. Also, if you have a specific question about either of the processes, put a Q in front of your question so we can find them quickly. I know a lot of you guys like to ask questions to each other and help each other out, which is great. We love it. But we don't want to miss a question. And BJM in hot ATL. Oh my goodness. Yes. Hey, Kenya. Saw you this morning.
Hey, Kenya.
On Sheeta. Arnell. Hey, everyone.
Hey, how you doing, Arnell?
From my old stomping ground. Hey, Samantha. I have no idea how to pronounce your last name, and I'm not going to try.
Torrance.
But Torrance is my old stomping ground. I know about Torrance. Ohio in the house. We were just talking to family members who are in Ohio right now. And B. Vash from Texas. How's the heat in Texas? And where in Texas are you? Because I think it's very different, like Houston.
Texas is always hot.
Compared to Dallas.
It's just hot.
Oh, okay. It's just hot.
It's just hot.
Okay. We've got family in both Houston and Dallas. And oof, Lord. Portard, Kia. I said that to our new landlords, and he's like, "Oh, she speaks Portuguese?" I'm like, "No, baby. That's all I can say."
Yeah, don't get that twisted.
That's all I can say. So we had to use an interpreter. Huntsville, Alabama. Ooh, Arnell, it's got to be hot down there. Hello from the late bloomer from Colorado. Hey, Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
How you doing? I love it. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. We got somebody else from Dallas and Austin, Texas. I love Austin. It's one of my favorite cities. Not in the summertime, though. Not in the summertime. So thank you, Kia. We appreciate it. Karen from California. We will be back there again. Are you from Southern or Northern California? Hey, Venus.
Hey, Venus.
New York City. I don't know if it's New York City, but I know you're in New York.
Good to see you again.
Rhonda from the ATL. Yes, definitely. You can hear us fine. Good, because we do have the air conditioner on and
in the background
because it's hot. It's hot up in here, loud and clear. Thank you, Lawrence.
Hi, Karen.
All right. So we're going to go on to number 2, to all of these ancillary requirements. All right. So I'm going to start with Mexico, because Mexico doesn't have a lot of other requirements like Portugal does. Maybe because they know us more, and because we're right there, right? They know our process and everything. They really did not have a lot of requirements.
No. Not
all right. So let's get to it's pretty much the same for temporary and for.
So
permanent.
Of course, the first visa is your visitor visa, your travel visa, which is actually your passport. I believe it's 180 days that you can go and visit Mexico for 180 days
as a U.S. citizen or a Canadian, and there's a few other countries that have basically an automatic visa.
Yeah, so you can go and stay, and then that time is up, you have to leave the country. Uh, but after a certain period, you can come back to the country. I don't know if they didn't have that rule of you had to wait 6 months or 3 months before you come back in. So
No,
Mexico is different.
no, they,
Mexico is
yeah,
definitely
different
different.
than the Schengen. And then the other requirements besides money that you had to, so we had to show the money, we had to prove our address,
Hmm.
we had to show our address in Mexico, and that was about it.
Yeah.
You have to have your application. You have to have a passport. Of course, you have to have a passport
Yes.
with enough room to put the visa on. And it has to have 6 months time requirement as well. A letter, and this is different than Portugal in that if you apply for Portuguese residency through the D7 process, we're not going to talk about the golden visa because I don't know about y'all, we're not spending $500,000 to get a golden visa. It's very easy. You can look that up. Spend $500,000 and get automatic
You could buy it.
residency.
Yeah.
You can buy it, go for it. So we're going to talk about the D7, which is independent income, and it's very low. But yeah, so you have to have a letter from Mexico stating what you're asking for. And we asked for permanent residency, but would accept temporary, and why you want to move to
Yeah. Why you want
Mexico.
to move to Mexico?
And she read it. In Denver, she read it. You've got to be prepared for the fee, $48, and they accepted credit cards in Denver. I would
Hmm.
check with your local office and see what they accept. Um, and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, the email that they sent us, what we are giving you is what Denver sent us. Some of this stuff will vary, so do your research before you go. So they also wanted us to print out the email verifying our appointment for both Portugal and for Mexico. They wanted to print that out, bring that with, along with our financial statements,
Yes.
our letter,
All of yes.
a copy of our passport. It didn't need to be notarized or anything like that. Oh, photos. They say bring a photo, like a passport size photo, and we did, but they actually took our
They
picture
took your
there.
picture.
So
Yeah.
we didn't need the photo. So I would check. Some consulate offices are set up with the camera, some are not.
Right.
So
And
triple check that.
you have to have at least one page in your passport that's empty, because when they do approve you for the visa and they apply the actual sticker, visa sticker in your passport,
Yeah.
and then you have 6 months to return to Mexico to get the process done. Once you enter Mexico after you've gotten the passport sticker, you have 30 days,
30 days
and
to
they
get your
tell you
green
that.
card.
And if you do get it, and I might be getting ahead of myself, but when you get to the airport and you got the 30 days, make sure you get in the correct line for resident and not travelers or visitors,
Yeah.
because it will nullify everything if you get in that wrong line.
Yes. And so that's one of the changes with Mexico. If you are one of the Mexico people and you know, if you've gone down there, you know that they have that FMM card that you have to
Right.
fill out, right? They are doing away with that. And I was going to go online to see if they have said, I could not find anything that said, is there another process or how it's going to work? So when we came back to the United States, she asked for our FMM card paper, and I pulled out our green cards, our permanent residence. She's like, oh, okay. She said, well, we're doing away with this FMM form. She didn't say we're replacing it. She just said we're doing away with it. So I will fill this out for you as permanent residents. So
And you'll know when they're doing it, when it's gone, because when you fly into Mexico, usually you get it from the airlines.
airlines,
They
yeah,
usually give you that form to fill out if you're declaring different things or what you're doing and stuff like that, and then you turn that in at the border or wherever you are to go in.
yeah,
So, so if they're not giving that out anymore, they're probably done away with it.
yeah, definitely. The other thing is if you are married, bring your marriage certificate just in case all of your financial accounts don't list both names. So, depending upon what bank you are, even if both of you guys are on it, the statements don't always show both names. One of our investment accounts did not show both names, even
Right.
though he's on it, because I opened it, I guess. I don't know, but for Portugal and for Mexico, it's joint property. So that marriage certificate will help with that situation. Also, if you're going as a married couple, there's an extra amount that you have to bring in per month for dependents, unless both husband, like for if we were both getting pensions, then that would be fine. But by me not getting a pension, it's his pension plus five. It's that 2,500 plus
Plus
500
500. Yeah.
per month that we have to be bringing in. So, and the same is true with dependents with kids. All right. So we're going to take a break here and see if we've got any questions yet. Hey, Professor LCH, how you doing?
How you doing?
I think you owe me an email.
Yeah, she does.
I'm in Dallas and it's smothering. It's hot here in Denver. It was like 91 degrees yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday, and we came back to this house.
Yeah.
And it was a mess. It was a mess. So I was cleaning on my birthday. Hey, Lawrence is in Vegas. I know it's hot in Vegas. Y'all don't even have to tell me. Hey, Mike, haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for catching a live. Charlotte, North Carolina. Courtney B. Hey there. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, Chandra. For Portugal's D7, will they accept savings and retirement investments without a monthly income? I'm an early retiree living off of savings. Yes, they will. And so you just need to show that your passive income is at least $1,100 a month. Are you taking dividends? Are you just withdrawing, your monthly amount per month? However you're doing it, show that transfer into your bank account, and you and have that circled so that they can see every month, this is what you're living off of, and you've got enough money in the savings and your investment accounts to last you.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. For your Portugal visa, were they strict on your accommodations? Abso-effing-lutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that we ran into because, and you heard us say it, or we put it out there. We thought at first we had an accommodation all set up and ready to go, and then we found out that the accommodations we were going to didn't have their correct tax ID, so we couldn't use that, and we needed to have everything in place before we walked into that office. And if you don't have the accommodations, they will probably say you need to come back when you get accommodations.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm going to go through the other requirements for Portugal right now, and then we can get into questions and then our 5 suggestions. So for Portugal, obviously you need your visa application. If you're going to DIY this, you're going to do it yourself, do not sign anything before you get there. Sign everything in front of them. Otherwise, it's going to have to be notarized. Boston is the exception because there's all online and they don't go through VFS. So you have to get stuff apostilled. And that
Yes.
apostille process takes weeks, folks, weeks. So when we were trying to see if we had to get something apostilled, we were looking at 3 to 6 weeks to get it done, and a lot of money to get it done within a week or 2. So just keep that in mind with the timing. You have to have a color photograph, 4.5 by 3.5 centimeters, and you have to have 2.
Yes.
Two
2 photographs.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit smaller than a passport photo. Color copies of your passport ID pages. So we had to, because we're not leaving our passports there, and then also in DC, you don't leave your passport there. You have to have copies of the main passport page, plus every
every other
page
yeah.
that has been stamped has to be copied in color as well, and then the whole thing has to be notarized. And so that's what we did. We also had to have a personal statement asking why we wanted to settle in Portugal, and in English and in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Everything was in English and in Portuguese. We had to have confirmation of our accommodations. Now, let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's not just having a lease, because I can write up a lease and put anybody's name on it, right? And transfer some money to some account and say, oh yeah, see, I transferred some money. No, 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 no. Let me tell you, not only do you have to have your 1 year lease, and I would check because this is San Francisco, the San Francisco branch. I have heard that DC is a little bit more lenient and it can be 6 months. But the landlords, especially in Lisbon and maybe Porto and the Algarve, are hip to the skip, and they will try to gouge you. So we had a local friend help us. I think I mentioned them last week, um, and it was a miracle. We'll tell you about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But you have to have a 1 year lease. That 1 year lease has to be registered with their tax authority. Every rental property has to be registered, whether it's Airbnb or long term rental. You have to register it with their government, maybe the local government. They give you a number, which you are supposed to then every month. You are supposed to turn in your receipts from that rental income, how
Right.
much money you got, because just like Uncle Sam wants their money,
Portugal wants their money.
they want their money.
They wants their money.
And they wanted our tax ID numbers as well, so that when we go and look on our profile on NIF, under NIF is the national something, I don't know what it stands for and probably can't pronounce it, but it's basically that tax ID we've told you about. Another thing that you have to have in advance, they will show that we have paid in advance for this rent. We had to be able to prove that we had paid, not because I said we had paid, but
Right.
because we got official emails from that tax authority saying, one to Ricardo, one to
We
Halisi,
received.
we have received a receipt that you have prepaid for August.
Yeah. Just don't take it for granted thinking that if you did something and you hadn't heard anything back, that it's taken care of.
Our
'Cause it's
landlord
not.
was incredible.
He's incredible.
He was
He is
incredible. And we'll tell you about that story in a minute. But let me get back to everything else you need. So that's the accommodations. It's no joke, folks. Proof of financial support. So that's the $1,100 you need to show per month, 3 months worth of bank statements. And then whoever asked us, Chandra, 3 months worth of your retirement account and your savings. When they see those numbers, if they look like what I'm thinking they look like, they will say, yes, please come. Yes, please come. FBI criminal background check, which really is just, they call, the FBI calls it an identity summary
Yeah.
history.
If you don't have anything, you ain't got nothing to worry about because you'll get a clean sheet of paper with the FBI logo on it
Yes.
and nothing else.
It's only good for 3 months though.
Yes. Yes. 90 days is it.
It's it. So we had already gotten that back in February when I panicked and said, oh no, they don't have any more reservations. So we got to do it now. And that one expired. So we had to do it again from Mexico. That's another story.
Yeah.
Permission to the Department of Borders, which is SEF. If you are just searching out Portugal, you've heard about SEF. That's the second part of the process. Just like we had to finish the process in Mexico by going to their immigration office, the same is true for Portugal. We will get there. We will have to go to their immigration office and trade in our visa, our residency visa, for their version of a green card or residency card. All right. And that was in Portuguese.
Yeah.
That was in Portuguese. Again, it has to be signed, but you sign it in front of them so that you don't have to get it notarized. A copy of a marriage certificate or child's birth certificates if they're under 18. Marriage certificate, again, because both of our names, like his retirement account doesn't have my name on it, and my retirement account doesn't have his name on it, et cetera, et cetera. Proof of health insurance.
Yes.
Schengen approved health insurance that covers you up to $30,000.
30,000 euro.
Or euro. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We purchased our insurance for 6 months for $336 total.
And COVID cannot be excluded.
Yes.
It
And that
has
includes
to include
COVID.
COVID coverage.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. and zero deductible. Ours had zero deductible, 30,000 euro coverage, Portugal and all of Schengen. So I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So yeah, we will put a link in the description after the fact. If you're watching from the future, hey, you'll see the link, unless it's like 1 minute after we stop. But to the low cost insurance that we got, that our immigration person suggested that we get a letter of reference. If you are in Black in Portugal and you go to their events, you will meet folks who are so cool, who are so cool. I'm telling you, these folks were helping this brother and sister out.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That, I mean, you guys met Alex and Jerry. They are just the tip of the iceberg of the cool people. So we got a letter, but we could have gotten a letter from any of those folks who have residency, vouching for us on our behalf. And then you need to get a money order or a cashier's check for exact change. Don't come in with cash. And it's got to be made out to
the
Consulate General of Portugal.
Specifically.
Yeah. Now that amount of money changes every month. So before you go, if you're DIYing this, before you go, check, because it in euro it doesn't change, but because the value changes, that's why the money changed. So we didn't actually have to go for $94.66. Ours was $91.80. The dollar's a little bit stronger. And then you have to pay the VFS fees, but you can do that with credit card. Because we're keeping our passports and waiting, because we don't want to be stuck here in the United States. So we are waiting for the visa to be approved. We will FedEx our passports to them. Yeah. They will affix the visa. And then so we had to prepay for them to ship it back to us. And they can only ship to United States addresses.
Right.
And that is it. New York, pay all fees by credit card, no money orders. So if you're in New York, you can pay all the fees by credit card.
So wherever you are in the country, whichever consulate or whatever you have to go to, make sure you do your due diligence and get all the information you can, because they're different.
They are different.
They do things. I mean, basically they're the same, but everybody has their little tweaks, and you have to do this in San Francisco, but you don't have to do that in Washington. In New York may be totally different. We accept money orders, but we don't accept, do your due diligence on that, because you don't want to get tripped up walking in an office with all your stuff, handing it to somebody, and they say, oh, well, you don't have this.
Where's the this? Where's the that?
And then you got to come back. Because if they would have said that to us, that would have meant we would have had to leave San Francisco, get whatever we needed to get together, and go back to San Francisco.
Because they don't accept walk-ins for Portugal. And that's the other thing we didn't realize. So the VFS office in San Francisco is obviously processing applications for a bunch of different countries in the Schengen, as well as the UK. And so all these people were there with an 8:30 appointment. We're like, what the heck's going on?
Everybody's appointment was for 8:30. It was hilarious. So you get off the elevator, short story, and it's like almost like a small bathroom, and you got all these people just getting off the elevator, and it's crowded, and no one is there. No one is there. The guard's not there.
Right.
To sign us in. He didn't get there. We got there before he did.
Yep.
And he was a substitute guard.
Yep.
So that wasn't his position, for that area. He was just filling in for somebody. And everybody's looking at everybody, and they're trying to explain to him how to sign people in. And it's like, oh my God. Then somebody says, well, they don't start till 9:00. It's like, well, we all have
8:30 appointments.
It was crazy. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think that ordinarily the guard would have been there. He must have called in sick. And so the guard would have been there checking people in, knowing the process, and, doing the scan and checking your purses, bags, whatever, making sure before they let you in. And so different countries start at different times.
Right.
but we didn't know that.
Nope.
I assumed everybody was there for Portugal. And
Yeah.
so some country may have started at 9, but Portugal and the UK started at 8:30.
Right, right.
And so did Denmark.
In Denmark,
Right?
yes.
They started at 8:30. I don't know who started at 9, but it was a little chaotic.
It was very chaotic
before, but once the staff got there, it was like
then it picked up. Yeah,
they knew what they were talking about. They knew what they were doing, and
they need a bigger waiting room.
Well,
once we got in the office, they
yeah,
had
in the VFS office, there's a big waiting room or bigger.
But
waiting
getting
room.
off that elevator, first thing in the morning, it was crowded.
Yes. Okay, so put a Q in front of the questions, but she's got that question mark in red. So I see if you're on LinkedIn, hey, hopefully you can make, I opened it up, so hopefully you can make comments. If you're on Facebook, hopefully you can make comments. If not, come on over to YouTube. Was it a temporary or long-term Mexico address that was requested? So unlike Portugal, she wasn't checking all that. Because you know what I did? I went on Airbnb, got an address of a place I was thinking about staying, and put that down.
Put it down.
We did not end up staying at that Airbnb. And the lady who helped us out told us, oh, that's my reminder saying we're starting to, boy, it better not have just got mailed out. Anyway, the lady that helped us out, she was in Puerto Vallarta, and she told me, well, told both of us actually, as soon as we leave with our card, we could jump on a plane.
You get on a plane. Yeah, you don't have to stay.
The other thing about Mexico is every immigration office does not necessarily have the technology to give you your green card on the spot.
Right.
Right, because we have heard that some people have had to wait for their card
weeks.
Weeks, and then they get called back to come pick it up. They had the plastic machine there, and so we waited for 15, 20 minutes, and we were handed our card. We've heard Mexico City people were handed their card. So double check on that so that you know and make plans accordingly.
And also different places, again, different consulates you go to within Mexico, people are different. People do things differently. Like I heard one place that they wouldn't let an interpreter come in.
Right.
So the person had to actually do all their own bidding. We had it. Ours went like butter. We didn't have to say anything.
Not a word.
All we had to do was sign and take a picture and get our car.
And act privileged. So Querétaro, if you saw our video last week, Angela and Lamar, their person was not allowed to come in. Rashida Dow, Sheeta's on the Loose, said the same thing about Mexico City. But we were in Puerto Vallarta. Not only did she do all of the talking for us, she got there early. Now, I heard all of them do this. She got there early, saved our place in line. We came leisurely at a normal business hour, like 8:30. We got there. We had our place in line because in Puerto Vallarta, they close at 1:30. And so if you don't get there and get the spots,
you out.
You just out of luck and have to come the next day. So yeah, we got there at 8:30, and she had held our spots. We got in there, and she did all of the talking for us to the officials behind the desk. And then she'd bring us up, explain, and say, sign here, do this, do that. And it was smooth. The name of the company that we used in Mexico is Sonia, Sonia Diaz, Diaz. So if you Google that, because I know it's in some of the descriptions, but I'm not sure if I put it in here. They have offices in San Miguel de Allende as well as Puerto Vallarta, and it was smooth.
It was smooth. It was just
from beginning to end.
You couldn't ask for more. It was great.
Yes. Oh, okay. So here's Arnell saying, absolutely do your own research because Orlando is different and has a higher economic solvency amount. Mexico is tripping.
Yeah.
Mexico is tripping.
Yeah, we had kind of heard Florida was kind of Miami, though. It was Miami-Dade, wasn't it?
Yes.
For Mexico, they were just tripping.
Yeah.
Hard.
So Kenya says they did away with the FMM on July 28th. Now they'll stamp your passport with the days from what I've been told. So when we were at the airport leaving, she did fill out an FMM, and that was August 4th. she did fill it out for us. So I'm not sure that they've totally done away with it, or if you were already there, are they going to do it for, I don't know. But
We
we'll get
didn't
the
want
information.
Yeah, we didn't want to just say, oh, they already did away with it, because of what we went through. And she still went through the process and explained to us we're doing away with it. But she didn't say it's done. It's a
Yeah, she
done
didn't say it
deal.
was a finished
So
process
that's
yet.
why we said that.
Yeah. But keep that in mind. So if you don't go until November, December, they probably will have done away with it by then. The only thing to remember is if they have not and they are still asking you to use it and you're getting residency, you're going in on that residency visa, just make sure that you have them stamp the right the right box on the FMN and write, temporary or permanent residency. That's what they did on ours, as well as stamped our visa.
Yeah, because they had, what was it? I want to say consulary, but that wasn't it. What was the other one that started with a CON?
Canje, that means
Conhe.
exchange in
Okay.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you keeping apartments in Mexico and Portugal? Greta, we know how to act our wage. What did the upgrade say? I love her. Kiki. Hey, Kiki. We know how to act our wage. No, no, we are, no. Um, that would be cost prohibitive unless we rented one out while we were gone. And that's a lot. We own a property in LA that we have to maintain, this house in Denver, which we're renting out. And then of course we'll have our apartment in Lisbon, and we're moving into Lisbon proper, not the other side of the river. We'll tell you all about that. We got a better deal. It helps if you work with someone who is Portuguese,
Yeah.
and and the person that we worked with, who is also a friend, has lived there for 8 years, and obviously has residency. He's actually Brazilian, but speaks Portuguese, European, both versions of Portuguese,
Hmm.
and just cool peeps. And
Yeah.
so we paid him. We did pay him, and he worked miracles.
But there's people that just do it themselves,
Thank
and
you. You can
it's
DIY it.
you
If
can
you
do it.
go on to Friends and Americans of Portugal, that Facebook group, Home Chick is into the DIY. She keeps all of those files up to date for every single consulate, and you can DIY it. However, if you're having to fly into an expensive ass city like San Francisco, I did not want to uh, to take the chance of spending all of that money, staying in a hotel, because every time I try to Airbnb in San Francisco, I get canceled. So staying in and thank God we stayed in a hotel, because we'll tell you about what we had to do for our fingerprints and all of the things that we had to get FedEx to us and everything
Mhm.
else. And so one of the things that we hired someone from Mexico and we hired someone for Portugal, because y'all know I'm still trying to deal with my aging parents and all of that stuff and
It's
some other
just a
stuff.
lot.
It's a
It's a
lot.
lot. And there's different agencies, and just because there's agencies that will charge you a lot of money,
One agency quoted us $6,000.
6,000 euros.
Euro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because at the time, the dollar was like 80 something cents to the
Yeah,
euro.
yeah, and
So 3,000 euro a piece to do the
yeah,
whole thing.
to do everything.
We went through relocate2portugal.com. Relocate2portugal.com. And Gail and her crew were amazing.
Amazing.
Gail is from Canada, I believe, and she has Portuguese working with her. They read out, they were the ones who made sure our accommodation, someone asked about the accommodation, was correct. She said, and made sure that, the person who said they had the right to lease the thing actually had the right. They looked at the licensing paperwork and said, yes, this is right. This is official. You're good to go on that. And then made sure that that the payment got registered the correct way and that we had the receipts. And so we also work with a company called Border.io,
Mhm.
who will do your NIF and your bank account for you.
Yeah.
Now, they're not cheap, but they're not expensive. And I say that to say, We paid double what they're charging just for our NIF, our tax ID.
Yeah.
And they didn't even do everything. So Border.io will do the NIF
They
for
will
you,
do it.
and they will help you set up your profile on the official government website so you can check the status of all of the things that you've paid for and are getting tax credit for. So now we're going to have to DIY that part
Yeah.
because that expensive place that we use did not do that
They
for
didn't do it.
us.
So Border.io, remember that, you know.
If all you're trying to do right now is your NIF in your bank account, because that's all they do. Gail will do the whole thing for you as well. She charges more than Border.io, but it's the whole thing. And so she's probably going to help us set up our portal thing for the NIF because we had gotten that done before we met her. She helped us with the bank account. She will help with apartments, but we didn't buy that piece of the package because we knew we were going to Portugal.
Yeah. We already knew, and it fell through. I mean, things happen, so you know, just make sure you do everything that you need to do. Make sure you're everything that you did. One of the biggest things we learned about is contracts on in the Portugal side. So you can translate and add or whatever you want to do. Nothing counts except what is in Portuguese in the courts over there. So you can say, well, yeah, but we agreed to blah, 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 and it's in English. I've sent an amendment to it, and it's in English. Doesn't count.
So our landlord, bless his heart, he's a doctor. He's probably very busy. Attention to detail on this contract was not his strong suit. And and yes, he gets all the benefit of the doubt because he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, so sorry. This man, okay, first let's tell him about this apartment hunting situation. So we thought we had a contract, y'all know that.
We were happy. We was kicking up.
We were doing,
yeah,
right?
we got to go through all this stuff.
And it didn't start until November. And we were loving life. We don't have to prepay. We ain't paying for space that we ain't using and blah blah.
And we loved the place.
Yeah,
it was where we stayed when we first got there, so we were familiar with it.
Knew the
we
neighbors,
the little mercado around the corner. They got to know us. We got to know them.
Right?
You know. When they was partying and having all kind of things going on, the bread man would come by in the morning.
Post us on Facebook.
You know, you scream. Well, it's recorded, but you know what I'm getting at. You know, and everything. So we knew, we were happy. We were like, yes,
right, we've got this place.
And then,
and in fairness, because she's still WhatsApping me yesterday. How did the appointment go? I'm like, baby, the appointment went well, but we could not have walked into that office without the paperwork. Y'all were slow, and so we would have happily given you the money, someone who knew us, and said, we want to rent to you.
Yeah.
But you were taking too much time. They were being very Portugal, laid back. Namaste, right?
They went on holiday.
And it's like, if we were there and it wasn't about this visa process, or if we lived in San Francisco and we could just drop in every day and say, you got appointments available, maybe we would have waited. But we didn't have that luxury. And so we told our friends that we met through Black in Portugal we have our own little private WhatsApp to keep in touch and stuff like that. And I was like, babies, our contract fell through. They don't have their the proper tax ID numbers for their property. And so we are back to square one. This was the Wednesday before we were to fly out to San Francisco.
And we don't have an apartment.
So our friend Rossini, hey Rossini, we love you.
Yes.
He is between gigs, and he said, I can't do this for free because I'm trying to do. I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? Because he had already visited some apartments for free for us. Walked us through. You want to know how we did it sight unseen? It wasn't sight unseen. We did a WhatsApp. I'm sorry, we forgot to close. I'm going to close this so that you guys are not hearing that ding. Take me a minute just to shut down messages and mail. Okay, sorry, folks. All right. So Wednesday, we posted, oh my God, we don't know what we're going to do. He had already gone to some apartments, he and his fiance slash girlfriend. They basically FaceTimed us
Mhm.
and walked through the apartment with us. We could ask questions. They would ask them in Portuguese for us and get the answers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one apartment, and they weren't like across the street from each other.
No. And so if you are familiar with New York, it was like one was in Manhattan and then one was in Jamaica, Queens, and then one was in Brooklyn. I
Yeah.
mean,
So they traveled.
they traveled. Um, and because he has lived there for 8 years, he knows the neighborhoods. And so that's why he's helping another friend of ours, and just giving her feedback and stuff. Are you sure you want to live there? Because this is what I know about that neighborhood. So he said, these are the neighborhoods we're going to stay away from. These are our A-list neighborhoods. These are our B-list neighborhoods, etc. That was Wednesday. By Thursday, he was seeing apartments. Friday, he was seeing apartments. Saturday, he was seeing apartments for us. Friday, he saw the apartment that we wanted. He so he FaceTimes us and he's like looking around. He says to us, "This is the one. This is the one. This is
Yeah.
the one." And I was like, then he's trying to act cool in front of them, don't want to give too much away. He FaceTimes and walks through the apartment with us. The landlord does not speak. He speaks a little bit of English, but he doesn't feel confident with it. And so they're asking questions back and forth, back and forth. 3 bedrooms instead of the two,
Instead of two. Yeah.
in the city center, 3 stops away from the tourist place, but far enough away that we don't have to deal with tourists.
Nope.
So it is an authentic Portuguese neighborhood, and they're charging us €150 more than staying on the other side of the river with 2 bedrooms. And it has 25 square meters more space. So you can do the math. I think the other one was about 600 or 700 square feet. This one is almost 1,100 square feet. Y'all, apartments are smaller in Europe.
Yeah, they're different.
Okay, they're smaller. So when you hear these numbers, you're like, ooh, that's it. But it's 3 bedrooms. And the master bedroom has a king size bed in it. That is a phenomenon
Yeah.
in Europe. And so it is fully furnished, but not like an Airbnb where there's dishes and things like that. But it's fully furnished. So we saw it on Friday. Before he had an appointment with somebody else 2 hours later. He already sent us a sample contract.
He wanted us.
He sent us a sample contract. Saturday we had a Zoom. He had his daughter there, who I guess understands English better than he. And Rossini, our friend, was on there as well to interpret. I understood a little bit of what he was saying because of the similarity in Spanish and Portuguese. So the few words that were really similar, I could understand in context. Some of the things that he was saying. He heard our changes. I had already read the contract, made changes, sent it to him. We viewed it on the Zoom in real time and talked about it both in Portuguese and in English. We came to an agreement. Actually, there was nothing that we disagreed about. His attention to detail, some of the stuff was left in from the other one,
Right.
from his previous people. So some dates and things like that, some things were accidentally taken out. It all got put back in. He had us a revised contract in a couple of hours.
Yeah. Yeah. One, he stayed up
He stayed up until midnight,
till
1 o'clock in the
to
morning,
make sure
because
we
I'm
got.
counting. I'm like, wait a minute. It's 8 o'clock here in Puerto Vallarta, and this man is up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We went back and forth about 4 or 5 times. As soon as the money was in his account, he went straight down to the government office, got it registered. We received our email from the government office like an hour later.
Yeah.
He understood the urgency and got it done. Our namaste landlords that we were trying to have, they were like, oh, it'll be
Yeah,
fine.
it'll be fine. And it's like, you guys don't get it. We cannot walk into that San Francisco FS office and not have a legitimate
Lease.
lease with the tax IDs and everything, because they're going to send you away. They're not
Yes.
going to waste time with you.
No, no.
And, like Samantha was asked the question, which you answered, it's like knowing people there, people that you befriend and look out for you. Like
You
Rossini,
know who you vibe
yeah,
with.
and we vibed and stuff. I mean, he was doing this and looking at many apartments for free for us.
Yes, yes. And it wasn't until it was crunch time and he knew he was going to have to run around in a short amount of time. And we were so happy to give him that money because he saved our
Yeah,
behinds. He saved our behinds. So there are other companies, Samantha, that will do that for you. And they will FaceTime you or WhatsApp video call you and walk you through apartments. So you don't have to do it sight unseen. The other thing that Rossini did for us is he walked down, he called us before he got into the building so we could see the outside of the building. And then it's a walk up. The only thing that we don't like, it's a walk up. So walked up the stairs to, because it's an older place, to the apartment, front door, the whole 9 yards. Then afterwards, walked around the
walk around
neighborhood
the neighborhood.
so we could see where the supermercado was, where the mini mercado was, the little cafes and all of that, where I just love it, where people are sitting out having their coffee, their croissant, their pastry, whatever, and there's a park right across
Right
the
across the street.
street. So he walked there, and then he asked some locals, where's the nearest metro station? And they're like, oh, it's just a 5-minute walk that way, boop to boop. Plus, the buses come right here. There's a stop, there's a stop. This is all that he did for us.
Yeah. So
So,
it pays meeting people. And the thing about it, too, is the Black in Portugal group,
shout
different
out to
people.
Samantha and the other
Oh
people
my
who run
God,
it.
yes. And the people that you meet and stuff, and, they look out. So if you have any questions, any concerns, we really, really lucked out with Rossini, and, for him to volunteer to do it. And then we said, hey, 'cause the first thing I always said is we should be paying him for this. He should be
Yeah,
making money for doing this, because I know that it takes a lot to do it. But we were fortunate. We were blessed.
we were blessed and very, very blessed. And before we had even paid this landlord, he was sending us pictures. uh,
Lisbon is waiting for
Lisbon is
you.
waiting for you. He sent us a picture of the view at night where you can see the bridge that we all know that looks sort of like the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, it looks a lot like the Golden Gate Bridge, but it's not red. And all of that, you can see all of that view from the apartment. And so he's like, then he WhatsApped me this morning. I don't know if I told you, and said, how did the appointment go? So we really got fortunate with this landlord. And the great part is that he was, I thought I closed those texts. That he moved quickly, got our changes quickly, was not trying to cheat anybody,
Yeah,
and or gouge. So that's another thing about getting somebody local. You want to know something else about apartments. They know that the consulates ask for 1 year.
yeah,
We
they do.
had people asking us to pay 1 year in advance. So for this one apartment, that would have been
Fourteen thousand
14,400
four hundred
euro.
euro. Yeah,
And they had wires hanging from the ceilings where the light fixtures should be.
yeah, yeah,
And we had to provide the refrigerator, and we had to provide the oven, and we had to provide the washer, as
yeah.
well as all the furniture.
And it's like, and you want us to send you 14,400 euro for you to hold on to? So, I mean, everybody's not like that, but there are a lot of people that want to take advantage because they know the law. They know what the consulate is asking for from people. And yeah, I mean, anywhere you go, you're going to run into people that say, well, shoot, I can get over on this.
Right? I can make
Silly
me some money.
Americans or silly Canadians or silly, UK people, they come over here and they want. So we just charge them all kind of money. So it pays to know somebody
It
there.
pays to know someone. Also, know that everything is negotiable,
Everything.
but there's too many melanin challenged folks from America and Canada and probably Australia as well, going over there and for buying property, they're offering above asking.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And when you're renting property, they're just if it's listed at $1,600 a month, they'll just pay the $1,600 because it's so much cheaper than it is back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is not
Negotiate.
in line with what Portuguese can afford. So that's another way, another reason why we got the rent that was only, like 125 euro more for the T3.
Right.
He asked for 2 months in advance plus deposit.
Yeah.
2 months in advance plus deposit. Now, and that's what he had listed, and that's what he asked us
Yeah.
for. He didn't say, because we had some folks say, we don't rent to foreigners. We had folks say, oh, for foreigners, we charge this.
Double the price, double, and they want you to send all this money up front to hold it, and it's like, really? And this is what you go through. So it just pays. And we were blessed to have
Yes,
people
yes.
there to do it.
And now you know, because we're telling you.
Yeah.
You ain't got to go through all that. So thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. Hello from Ahihi. Hey there. So we are trying to convince our daughter, and I think we got her convinced. So she's looking at Merida, but we told her Lake Chapala area is the place to be. As a solo Black woman, it is the place to be. But she's thinking Merida, whether, I don't know.
She likes the heat.
She likes the heat.
She likes
So
the heat.
so we'll let you know if we've got a family member who's going to be joining you down there.
And she's a nurse too, so she's an RN. So if you need good medical people,
right? She knows her stuff.
She knows her stuff.
Oh, thank you, BJM. So again, if you have a question, please. Whoop, I just deleted that. Please put a Q in front of it. I had a banner that said that, and instead of putting it on screen, please put a Q. I'm typing it again, folks. Bear with me. Please put a Q in front of your question. So I turned 58.
I'll say you're 48, baby. You're always 48 to me.
Good answer. I turned 58, y'all. And it was a very anticlimactic birthday. I did not want to be in the States on my birthday. I did not. So yes, the Portugal process is intense. Here's the deal. I think at first, when the money threshold has not changed too much over the years, but a lot of the requirements changed because people were doing part of the process. This is what our immigration person told us. People were doing part of the process, then just dropping the ball and saying, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
And so the government was going through all of this, all of these changes, trying to process all of this stuff. And they were not getting the economic payoff that they want. The reason why they have the D7 visa, as y'all know, if you watch, Delia Borshade and Picky Girl Travels the World, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, all got into financial trouble, right? Their economies were lagging. Young people were leaving. And so they made it very easy to get a visa because they need our money there. All right. And so this helps their economy. And we are happy to help because we wanted to live in Europe.
Right.
So they need us. We need them. It's a win-win is the way we look at it. So, but some people were not taking it seriously. The 1-year lease, first of all, it's easier to negotiate a lower rental price if you ask for 1 year. Like I said, DC was only requiring 6 months. They still may only require 6 months. But if you get a year, their law says you only have to fulfill by law a third of the contract. So for the sight unseen, let's just say we love the apartment. We've seen the apartment, but the walk to the metro, oh, we just can't do that. We're not going to last. Or walking up those stairs, we're not going to last. Technically, we would only have to do a third of the contract, so a third of the
Right.
year, right? So 4 months, and then we can legally get out of it. We don't intend to. I think the stairs are going to be exercised, and that price is right, and it's in the middle of the city. And I never thought that we would get a furnished place in the middle of the city for this price. So it's going to have to really be bad for us to give it up. So thank you, everyone, for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. My son did not say happy birthday. I'm telling on him.
No,
I
he
was
didn't.
working. I forgot. He said. Mm.
Mm.
Oh, yay! Yay, yay, yay. Glad you caught it. Alicia, glad you caught it. All right. I'm looking for questions. This looks like a question. Hi, all. Do Portuguese speak English with ease? Yes and no.
I think younger Portuguese speak it a lot easier and a lot fluently because they teach it in the schools.
Yeah.
And another thing is you're watching TV over there outside of news or local Portuguese television. All their movies and stuff are in English with Portuguese subtitles. So
Yeah.
when you watch HBO, AMC, and all that, the movies, they're in English.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a French movie or this or that
Yeah,
that is then subtitled in Portuguese. Obviously, we can't watch that unless they have English subtitles as well. But yeah, a lot they do not dub American movies;
mm-mm,
they subtitle them, even in the movie theaters. So they are very used to hearing American English, and the folks that we have heard speak English speak it with an American accent, not a British accent, which
right.
is interesting.
So depending on where you are too in different cities and stuff like that, because we understand down in the Algarve, since it's more for vacationing spots and stuff like that, you'll hear more English because they kind of cater to that audience.
Well, but a big portion. I want to say in certain parts of the Algarve, 30 to 40% of the population is British or Canadian.
Right. But then when you go to different other places, smaller towns or something like that, then you're going to get more Portuguese. I mean, even like the neighborhood that we're moving to is supposedly the typical Portuguese neighborhood. So you might not have a whole lot of English spoken there, but I would say a good amount of people probably know English, but they might not speak,
Like
let
the
you know how to
daughter
speak it.
who was on the Zoom, the daughter of the
Right.
landlord, she was on there because she understood English. And so I read Mexico will stamp passports in lieu of the FMM form. Okay, I think you meant FMM, Justina. So yeah, we were not sure about that. Who notarized your passport copies? Okay, let's get into how you do this when you're abroad.
Yeah.
Let me see what our 5 points were. So the first point was know the money requirements for residency. So we gave you that, the money requirements for residency. We gave you number two, know the ancillary requirements. We gave you that. Three, timing.
Timing.
We say, especially if you're going to do, I told y'all it was Adelia's fault, Piggy Girl, the reason why we have two residencies or going after two residencies. Because I didn't know, like, you can do that? That's a thing? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I did not know. So the timing. Portugal gives you 3 months to get to their country and finish the process. Mexico gives you 6 months. Portugal requires you to get that FBI background check, which is only good for 3 months. Mexico says, honey, we got access to your stuff. We know who you
We
are.
know who you are.
um, so the timing is really important, especially if you have to get something apostilled, etc. And if you plan to do an exploratory trip. So really think about your timing. I did not. I planned this stuff. I'm like, we getting out of here as soon as possible. So y'all know we were in Portugal for a month. Then we flew to Mexico to finish that process for a month. And then our agent made an appointment for us at the Portuguese consulate or VFS for August 5th. Well, we weren't scheduled to leave Mexico till August 7th.
Right.
And I totally forgot about the FBI
The fingerprints. And I
process.
happened to mention,
So
I
I
was
said,
like,
please double check the list.
we got to we've got to redo our FBI fingerprints because they're past due. And
We're in
we're in
Mexico.
Mexico. So guess what? The consulate, the U.S. Embassy does not do fingerprints. The federales, the Mexican police departments do not do fingerprints unless you're being arrested. And the Mexican embassy does not do
Or
fingerprints
they're
unless they're doing it
for
for their
themselves.
process.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. So it's like, where do we get fingerprints?
So we're panicked. We're in Cancun, just finishing the Exodus Summit. Well, I'm just finishing the Exodus Summit meetup. He got to tag along. Um,
I didn't get to hang out on
right,
the
I
boat.
had
Though.
this wonderful experience with all these wonderful Black women, and I finish it off by panicking. Oh my God, how are we going to get this done? And we're like Googling. Finally, I just decide to call the FBI.
Call the FBI, y'all.
And so called it uh, the division regarding the it's it's not a criminal background, it's identity history summary department. And this guy named Mike answered the phone, and there's only a few people who answer the phone, so he answered the phone the third time I called as well. And he said, don't panic. He said, you can get someone down there who can do fingerprints. That's the best way to do it. Go online, get the form. He said you can download the form and print it on regular old paper. That's fine. We didn't. We used cardstock. It's best if you, he said, it's best if you can get a fingerprint technician to do it for you to make sure that they all come out clear. And then just FedEx it to us. Do the online process as if you're going to go to the United States Postal Office or something like that to get it done, because then it'll turn around quicker. He said, FedEx it to us, right on there. It tells you on the email, folks, but I'm going to try to remember something like electronic processing something or other, attention electronic processing something or other. He says, make sure you put that on there because then it'll get turned around in a couple of days. It actually took a week, but they opened the envelope on Monday and said, your prints have been received for processing. By Monday afternoon, we had been cleared. That was the Monday before our appointment, folks.
Yeah. Can I add to your story?
And please do, and tell about the fingerprints.
So we're sitting there looking at each other at the Airbnb in Puerto Vallarta saying, we're going to have to do our own fingerprints. So we go to Walmart and get an ink pad, and we get the ink in the little roller deal, put it on the ink pad. We got 10 cards. We went
Printed.
we went to, not FedEx, but because FedEx couldn't do it.
FedEx couldn't do it. We had to go to a papeleria.
Well, what was the store though? Because they
Oh
had
no,
it
oh
here.
that's right. We went to Office Max to do
Office
that.
Max. So we went
Yeah.
to called Office Depot. Oh no, we don't do it. You have to go to Office Max. So
Their machines were broken.
their machine was broken. So we went to Office Max. Had her copy out, make us 10 copies. We said that should be enough. We could practice on a couple. We're good to go. We get home. So we said, okay, how do you do this? Looking online at videos. There's plenty of videos
YouTube
online.
videos, how to do your own fingerprints.
Exactly how to do it, fill out the card and everything. So here we go. We're practicing. We used all
The cards.
the cards. So I took the two best cards that I had my fingerprint, because it's difficult to do. It's not, you have to practice
You do have to practice.
how to roll your fingers unless you got somebody that knows how to do it and can roll your fingers. So you're doing it yourself. So you're trying to roll your fingers and they all have to be in the right places. I mean, the thumbs are easy and the four fingers are easy to do. That's a piece of cake. But rolling your, especially on your other hand that you're not really coordinated with, it can be difficult. So you put 3 in, didn't you?
I put 3 versions of my fingerprints into that envelope.
I put 2 because the other ones were just jacked up.
And so my main concern, I had 2 concerns. First of all, the FedEx World Center was not. It was a closet.
It was a closet.
And the way they were handling the packages did not make me comfortable.
No.
But thankfully, they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and it reached the destination when they said it would reach the destination.
FedEx did their job as
Right.
far as getting that done.
Yes. So check one. Then the other concern is because some of my fingerprints looked like this finger looked smeary on that version. That finger looked smeary on that version. And I was like, are they going to accept our fingerprints? Because we've heard of people who knew they were clear criminally. So they show up in San Francisco, hadn't checked their email,
Yeah.
and they open the envelope right there in front of you, by the way.
Yes.
And they pulled it out and said, oh, your fingerprints weren't accepted. So that was my other concern.
You got to start all over again.
So you got to start all over again. And so, well, actually you don't. And we'll tell you about that in a second. But we found that out because we got the person to help us. There is nothing that tells you this stuff online. I've looked, I haven't found it. If you can find it, let me know. We'll link to it. So they did accept our fingerprints.
Yes.
I don't know if they opened all those three things and just started laughing at us or what.
They probably did. They said, oh, Lord have mercy.
Right?
But they're probably used to it because I think a lot of people do their fingerprints, but it was just being in a foreign country, trying to get things done, copies made, fingerprints done, just things that we take for granted that
Yes.
we can get done here.
Lickety split.
You drive 5 minutes away from where we are here in Denver to the postal service and do the biometric fingerprints.
No
Takes
problem.
you like 5 minutes, and then you get the results
The next day.
You get the results the next day online, and then of course snail mail. They have to mail the other things. If you choose to do it that way, and you get the mail that envelope from the FBI, do not
open it.
Open it. Don't open it because you void everything when you do that.
Unless you're in Boston. And I have been told because it's online, triple check this, but because it's online, you have to get it apostilled.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Boston. I'm sorry. But so we did not open it. We had and I lied to you. We didn't get it Monday, July 31st. We got it the previous Monday, the electronic clearance. So, okay, great. Step 2, done. We know we're cleared. We know they accepted our fingerprints. Now, is the hard copy going to get to us in time? So we had it mailed to a friend of ours. Hey, Art, if you're watching.
There goes those friends again.
Right? A friend of ours in LA who we knew were going to handle business and handle our stuff. We stayed at a hotel, thank God, because now you've got a concierge and all of that. So I wanted to say something about that. We had, thankfully, he got the hard copy the Monday before our appointment. We found out the Monday before that we had been cleared. So he got it the Monday before. He FedExed it out and got it there by Wednesday. We arrived Thursday. I wanted it there a day in advance just in case, some planes got delayed, weather or something or other. I called them on Wednesday. I took names. I'm like, okay, what's your name? Tyrone. All right, Tyrone, you got my package? All right, I'm writing your name down, Tyrone. You got my package. Because little did they know, his iPhone 13 was in the package as well.
Yeah.
And you know how we've gotten stuff stolen. So official documents. The other great thing about staying at the hotel, our immigration person sent digital files to the FedEx in the lobby of the hotel. So when we arrived, we got a box handed to us with our whole package. All we had to do was go through it, paper clip it, so we could give him the items as he asked for it. So shout out to Gail, relocate to Portugal. It was on point. So, and we still ain't answered Venus's question. So how did we get our stuff notarized? We found out after the fact in Puerto Vallarta, there is a consulate, American consulate. Satellite office, and they would have notarized it for us.
Yeah. They wouldn't take your fingerprints, but they'll notarize.
They'll notarize. We didn't know that. So we went to notarize.com and got it done that way. And the VFS accepted it. So we had to have our ID scanned by their software. And then they scanned our face and made sure the face matched the ID. And then we had to have a Zoom. They looked at what we scanned into the software, looked at our faces and said, okay, separately, okay, that's you. Um, are you swearing that these are pictures of your passport? We had to scan the passport as well. Yes, yes, yes. And so they notarized it and then sent us a digital copy, which we then had to get printed in color.
Yeah.
So that's how we got an American notarization, because a Mexican notarization for an American application does not fly.
Mm-mm.
Y'all, did I think about any of this when I was booking these tickets? No, I did not. How are you addressing getting a Portugal lease from the States sight unseen? So I addressed that. Thank you, Samantha. Put a Q in front of your question.
And our friend Rossini, he's
What about receiving?
he's going to be helping other people too.
Yeah, Rossini is definitely going to be helping other people with the apartment hunt. So we're getting that together. I'm helping him set everything up because y'all,
He's somebody you can depend on. I'm
because
telling you.
y'all, he
Oh my God.
negotiated that stuff down.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody was trying to say, well, I think that he's like, oh no, this is my godparents. They're not paying that. They're not paying that. You
Yeah.
wouldn't charge me that. You're not going to charge them that.
Right. So I mean, that's just good to have. That person is good to have.
Yes. So you must have your NIF number before you apply for residency. You must have your bank account
Yes.
before you apply for residency. You can DIY it. We did not. So I cannot tell you how to DIY it, but I can tell you where to go. Friends and Americans of Portugal Facebook group. Home Chick is into the DIY, and she has listed out step by step how to apply. Um, it seems to me that you are going to have to FedEx a bunch of either notarized or apostille
Yeah.
stuff to the Portuguese government in order to do it
Right. For
yourself.
them to get you.
Because how we did it and how border.io does it, there is a link to them in the description, is that we give them power of attorney to act on our behalf. So then we're just scanning stuff in, our copies of our passport, copies of an ID that verifies our American address. Um, and that was it. And then the fee, right?
Right.
So, and they got us our NIF in days. And they didn't do everything, as I told you, like Border.io does. They did not do everything. But we did get our NIF. We opened the bank account ourselves while we were there.
Right.
Gail will help you with that. Border.io will help you with that as well.
Because you got to remember, and we did the video on it. When you go to if you're opening your own bank account, it's going to take a minute because of the language barrier, and they're checking everything, and there's a lot of paperwork.
There is a lot of paperwork. So, not just the language barrier, because Portuguese have said and chimed in that that's just kind of how it is. Now, we've had a couple of people say, it took me only an hour to do it. And maybe at some banks, but at the bank that we were at, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please put a Q in front of your
just
question.
prepare yourself.
Yes. Okay. Creativity reigns. I'm sorry, baby. How long do you think it will take to get a response regarding your visa from
What did
Portugal?
they say? 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. So VFS, unlike Mexico, really is just a processing company. So they're making money off the fact that these countries do not have the manpower to process this amount of, of folks trying to get the hell out of the USA. So they're just a processing company. He told us 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Gail told us 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, that's where I heard it.
She told us 4 to 6 weeks. And I said, because I told Gail I'm WhatsApping her. She wanted to know how it went. And I said, he said 6 to 8 weeks. She's like, all they do is process. They don't know what happens in Portugal on this end. I would take that with a huge grain of salt. So her clients, it's coming back between 4 to 6 weeks. And so I'm hoping 4 weeks. And I'm putting that out there in the universe. 4 weeks.
I think it'll
4
happen
weeks.
soon.
We did get, before we got on the airplane that same day, we got an official email from VSF saying that all of our paperwork had been approved to go on to the next step of the
Sent to the
process
consulate.
and was being sent to the Portuguese consulate. So please, if you find this information interesting, y'all, one thing, please like it and let Facebook know that this is something that other people should see. Number two, we have super chat, we have super stickers or whatever. 100% of that money will go for anybody who wants to take any of our classes but cannot afford it. We want you to do this thing as well, whatever it is, if it's Portugal, if it's Mexico, if it is Ghana, if it's South Africa, if it is Taiwan, wherever you want to go, if you feel like that's where you need to be to live your best life, we want to cheer you on.
Do it.
And help you get there.
Yes.
And help you get there. So put a Q in front. Okay, Samantha, how are you addressing getting a Portugal year lease from the States of Saddam Hussein? Why do I keep pulling that
You
up?
keep
I guess
wanting to answer that question.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Karen, so did you have to pay in advance a year rent in Portugal? Mama, don't play that.
They would love you to.
Mama, don't play that. I am not about giving someone a loan. Where's the VIG? Where's the interest money? You gonna pay me interest? You gonna lower the rent every month to make up for the fact that I'm not making any money off my money? You can treat melanin challenged folks like, if they're gonna go for the okie doke, let them go for the okie doke. I'm from South Central LA. I do not play that.
There's ways around it.
So I wasn't going to do, no. So we are paying for August and we're not there. And I'm not happy about that, but it's better. I know people who have paid for months in advance.
Yeah.
We will be there in September. Our ticket is already booked. So it is already booked. It cost us $11.70 to get from Chicago. What did I do? Sorry, folks. To get from Chicago to Portugal, $11.70 a piece.
$23.
And then from Denver to Chicago is going to be about $70 a piece. So for $200, we're flying to Portugal from Denver. I know in New Jersey, y'all got better prices. But when you're a little bit on the western side of the country, it gets a little bit more difficult. How did we do that? Chase Sapphire points. Chase Sapphire points. Link is down in the description. We got 60,000 points by spending a certain amount within 3 months. Now, you know we talk about money on this channel. What am I going to say, sweetheart? About these credit cards and getting into that trap.
Oh yeah, we if the amount fits,
I get,
yeah.
right? If the payment fits, no.
Payment fits. Sorry.
So we had to spend $3,000 in 3 months.
$3,000 within a 3-month period.
And so all of our groceries, the luggage that we bought for the final move, all that kind of stuff went on that credit card, and we paid it off every single month.
That's the key.
As a matter of fact, I have it on auto pay, so it automatically pays the whole balance at the end of the month.
Yeah. Or if you have to, pay it weekly, but make sure within that month that you paid that card
Pay it off. Don't get into that trap, right? Don't get out of debt just to get back in debt, trying to get points, right? So yeah, we got our tickets to Lisbon and back from Lisbon. We applied separately. I got my own Chase Sapphire. We got our 60,000 points there. He got his own Chase Sapphire. He got his 60,000 points there. When we got our American Express, I wasn't hip to that skip. So we got a joint card and missed out on some points.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in a relationship, you have a spouse, that's something you can do.
Just make sure they're in like mind.
Yeah.
Because you don't want one person spending money and all of a sudden, so I'll just pay it off. pay it off monthly. Pay it off.
Pay it off.
Not make a payment.
Yeah.
Pay it off.
And I just love Kiki saying, I know how to act my wage. I think that is brilliant. And yes, we know how to act our wage. We are not millionaires. When we say net worth, that is net worth. That includes our properties. We have 2.5 years worth of FU money saved, and we will live off the money that is coming in, and that's it. And that's it. Right? Any extra money, then we put towards our investments. And we still have that money coming out. So we're actually living off of less than what comes in, because that money has been taken out and put into our investment accounts. How are you addressing getting a Portugal year lease from the States? Meaning we will not see the property in person. Yeah. So this is a different one because it's a different time. So yeah, we did not see it in person. The closest we could do is a video call.
Yeah.
It's a video call. We know someone else who gave up her apartment back east. Liz, we did an interview with her, Antoana, Black expats in Portugal. So she talks about that a little bit in that video. But what she did, when she came in June, she came the same time we did. She looked and looked and looked. She actually leased her apartment. She stayed her whole 3 months that she is allowed to stay on a tourist visa in her apartment. She got it furnished and all of that. Now she's coming back. She's probably back already to the States to apply. So now her apartment is sitting empty. So she did it the reverse. Her apartment is sitting empty for the last part of August and September while she applies, while she gets stuff apostilled and everything like that. She has a situation where she doesn't have to pay rent at home in the home country because she's still paying rent in Portugal. So either way,
you can't get around it. It's a government qualification. So you're going to end up having to pay at least a month or something along the way. You're just trying to cut it down. You don't want to have to pay a whole year out, and you really don't have to pay a year out if you use your head and take your time. And if you have a person on the ground there in the country, which Rossini,
who we met through Twana,
Hey Twana,
hey
Twana, how you doing, sis?
Yeah.
He'll be available to help people out too. And you need good people. You need people that you can trust and to look out and stuff for you, because you can only be in Portugal for so long before before your visa runs out, unless you have a temporary or a permanent visa.
Yes.
You can only be there for so long.
Yes.
And you have to deal with their requirements. That's just how it is. You're going to have to come out of pocket somewhat. So you just try to lessen the burden, lessen
the risk.
And we'll be there in September. So, okay, we gave up a month's rent for August. That we got the place. September we'll be there, and we'll be there for the duration. We'll get our visa while we're there. But we'll be living there.
Yes. And so thank you. Shout out to Chandra.
Chandra, thank you so much.
This is going,
awesome.
Yes. So this is going to our scholarship fund, as we said.
Yes.
We have a challenge coming up. Y'all know about Beyond the Bling, which teaches people how to get their finances straight, quick, fast, and in a hurry, so that you guys can do what we did. We've had certain people reach out to us and say, can you offer a discount? I can't quite afford the price that you charge. And so this is our solution to that. And so thank you, Chandra, for being the first today. We so appreciate it.
We truly want everybody in this community. We want to build the community to be a big, strong community, so we can give out the information, share our knowledge with everybody else on how to do it, how to get things done. If there's things, ask the questions. If we don't know the answers, we will find the answers for you. But we're just showing you and telling you what we've been through on this journey, and we appreciate everyone being here in the chats and everything going on this journey with us. We really appreciate it.
You guys lift us up. Y'all just don't even know. Because yesterday on my birthday, I was so tired, and So on the ride back to Denver, you know, on Southwest Airlines, I know, sweetheart, I do the early bird check-in because I always forget so I can get in the A and get the seat that I want. We were on the exit row, y'all. And this young black man, bless his heart, who was about
He
6'4",
was a big brother. He
over
was
300
huge.
pounds, not fat, just big,
He was
like
big.
football big.
He said, "I know I'm kind of big," and laughed about it. It's like, yeah, you're a big brother. You need a plane of your own.
Yes,
He's a big brother.
He's big. He's a big guy.
Nice. Oh,
And I
very,
was in
very
the
nice.
center. He was asleep at the window seat. Homeboy was so big that when I let down my tray, it hit his thigh.
He's a big brother.
So I was not a happy camper yesterday, but now y'all lifting my spirits. So thank you. Can you please provide the name of the person who helped you find your place in Lisbon? We will put all of that information
Yes.
out. So thank you. And I know your name, but I can't. Is it Joanne? I don't think that's right. But I've heard Stephanie Perry call your name out, baby, but I can't remember. So let me know. Another question from Samantha. How do you handle not having a reference in Portugal? Gail was our reference.
Gail was our reference.
So if you use a service like Gail, and I'm going to tell you, she was not over $1,000 for both of us. She was not over that. I cannot remember the exact amount, but when I heard it, I exhaled. I'm like, okay, now that's a reasonable amount for what, for the services that you are offering. And so I don't know the exact amount. I want to say about $500 or $600 for her services, but I don't want to, because yesterday's prices are not today's prices,
Right.
etc. But nowhere near what those gougers were charging us. So she was our reference. She wrote a letter on our behalf. She translated everything into Portuguese for us. She had her person read the Portuguese part of our lease to make sure it matched my changes in English, etc.
Yeah.
Hats off. So it's border. Yeah, we have a link in the description. And if it's not there right now because it didn't translate over, sometimes when we do StreamYard, I know it automatically goes for our edited videos, but I'm not sure for StreamYard. Y'all were using this third party. So if it's not there now, I will make sure that the link gets into the description after the fact. So I got y'all. I'm looking for the queue for questions or the red question mark. I don't know how you guys do that red question mark. It must be on a phone. I'm so happy for y'all. Headed to Lisbon. We are too.
Yes.
Woo. Yeah, I booked I was feeling so down about coming to the States.
And Mocha, we haven't been to Porto, but I mean, all the word and the pictures and everything say how beautiful Porto is. So we
Yes.
definitely are looking to go to Porto.
And Gail is in Porto.
And Gail, yeah, she's in Porto.
And who has done? I want to say Expats Everywhere have done.
They're in Porto.
They're in Porto, and I think they've done a neighborhood video.
Yeah, they've done a lot of neighborhood videos and stuff
on Porto.
Like
so if you are looking for Porto, and yes, they have good transportation, and yes, they have good, inexpensive, fast internet in Porto, in Portugal, period. And all the major cities have good transportation.
And if you're a wine drinker, the wine is cheap.
It's inexpensive.
It's
good wine.
It's not cheap wine like Thunderbird or anything like that. It's very quality, good wine.
Or Champipple.
But it's very good quality wine, and it's very inexpensive because they make it there.
Yes. We're going to give you, after our first month there, we will give you a breakdown of all of our expenses, because I am determined that we will live under our means. And yes, so the apartment is furnished, but like I said, not with dishes and things like that. So I will be going on to Amazon.
We'll be buying stuff, but even our landlord said, hey, I understand when you're moving into a place, we're not shipping all kind of stuff or anything actually to there. And he said, I got you covered on different things you may need to
For
start
yeah,
your life
yeah,
out.
yeah. If you need to borrow pots, pans, and all
Yeah.
that for the first month, feel free. I'm probably going to go ahead and just have some stuff shipped there and have him put it in the apartment, or have Rossini can actually go get the key for us now. I haven't asked him to, but I know he will, and he can meet them over there or whatever.
Yeah.
So they don't have Amazon Portugal, but Amazon Spain
Spain and
ships to
Amazon
Portugal.
Germany.
Amazon Germany ships there too. Okay.
Yes.
And I was looking for grape jelly, Greta, on Amazon Spain, and I was looking for grits.
Greta, love you, darling. You got us looking for grape jelly all
Everywhere,
over the world.
everywhere we go. And so the grits, y'all, the grits, they had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to ask for 36 euro 38 cents for some Quaker instant grit packets.
They did. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Nope, 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 nope. We are assisting him because he is so trustworthy,
He's very trustworthy.
because he's got a good spirit and he does what he says he's going to do, and he does it on time. And then he's like, what more can I do? Do you want me to read the contract again? So he also read the contract and translated it as well. We had two people doing that for us.
Yeah.
Y'all,
He is very trustworthy. He's very personable. He's a good, all in all, good guy.
yeah. So I am so behind in these. I'm like a half hour
Well,
behind. So
thank you, Greta.
I'm gonna try to catch up. Thank you.
I'm just looking out for you, darling.
Is it Trey, or I hope it's Trey. Thank you, baby. Happy birthday wishes. Here's another question. Hey Sheldon, I want to visit Portugal next May 2023 and stay for a month to check things out. Want to get an Airbnb in a real neighborhood. How much in advance should I try to book? As early as possible. And here's the thing, prices go down during the winter and start going back up starting April. So I did not find any price within Lisbon proper that I was willing to pay. When our friend who is from back east, he was renting an Airbnb, a 3-bedroom Airbnb in Lisbon proper, in the heart of where everything is happening.
Everything, yeah.
He was paying $350 a night.
Yeah.
We were paying $66 a night.
We were across the river.
We were across the river. And so we were in Almada, in Casillas, part of Almada. So it's right on the tip. We were literally a 5-minute walk from the ferry station. The ferry literally takes 10 minutes to get across the river, that lands you 2 blocks from that big yellow square that you have all seen in all of the pictures. Literally. We're not exaggerating. The ferry runs every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the ride is 10 minutes. The cost is $1.35 if you prepay, $1.85 per ride if you buy on the spot. So, but if you're going to go in May, I would start looking at least in January, and just start looking. And then depending upon where you want to be, if you want to be in the heart of the action, or if you want to be in a traditional neighborhood, the one thing that I would say, because we didn't want to drive, and if you plan on not doing day trips, or you can always rent a car
Yeah.
for weekend, if you want to drive up to Porto, if you want to drive down to the Algarve, you can always rent a car.
Right.
But the metro system in Lisbon is so good, especially east of that bridge, east of the San Francisco style bridge. All right.
What is it? The April 25th?
Yep. Point. for Bridge, April 25th. That is their Revolution Day, or the day that they gained democracy. 1975, y'all.
Yeah.
1975. So it's still relatively a new democracy. But in any event, yeah. So if you want to rent east of that bridge, you are going to get access to buses, trolleys, the heavy rail, or the trains that go from region to region, as well as light rail, or the metro, which goes from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Right.
In on the Almada side, or South Bay Lisbon, on the other side of the river, they have light rail. They have heavy rail, but the heavy rail mainly goes from that side of the river across the bridge to the other side of the river. They have ferries and buses, of course, too. Every place has buses. But yeah,
You'll find it very, very easy to get around.
yeah, definitely. And so I was not going to rent on the other side of the. I was like, oh, look how close it is. So I started reading in the Airbnb comments how convenient it was, how nice it was to be away from the tourist areas. Because at nighttime, let me tell you, they have these street festivals going on. They were going on in June. They were going on. Then there was different festivals in July. Then there were different festivals in August, we've heard. So, and there's probably some festivals in May. And every neighborhood seems to be in competition with each other on who can have the liveliest festival.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's lovely. I love it. But not at 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. Depends on where you are.
So if you don't mind that and you want to be out there with them and you ain't going to get back into the house until 3 o'clock in the morning, have at it.
Hey.
We were in a pretty traditional neighborhood, working class. Well, I guess working class neighborhood. I don't know. And when I say working class, I don't mean poor neighborhood. I mean just a typical neighborhood. These were not highfalutin people. They were just everyday people. Police, teachers, people like that. A lot only Portuguese spoken, very diverse, and everything else. So it looks like we've got another one, and I'm going to recognize that in 1 second. Let's answer this question. Lawrence Nicholas Bear, resending with a Q in front of it. Beer. Thank you, because it's easier to find. For Portugal, do you have to be retired, or can you still be working remotely for a U.S. employer in a digital nomad type of situation? Absolutely. And so that's the big difference between, Mexico, you can do the same thing, but they don't tend to give permanent residency for folks who are still working. Portugal, they just don't want you taking jobs from Portuguese.
Right.
So you just have to have, if you are making your own money, like our friend Tawana owns her own business, she just had to show the financials from her business, and or if her business pays her through paychecks or something like that, that kind of situation. She had to show in her bank account some regular deposits, right? If you are a remote worker working for a corporation that will allow you to work anywhere in the world, then you just show your W-2 stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Just show your W-2 stuff, and probably a letter from your company verifying that they will allow you to work from Portugal. So yeah, it is all good. I'm going to recognize Venus. Blocked, and thank you for the super sticker. Again, this goes to our scholarship fund. And Phyllis A, thank you again. Thank you for being here and sharing. We want everyone.
Truly appreciate it,
because some of this information we could not find, and y'all, I was panicked back in the day. I was like, all I know is we got to get up out of here. That's for sure. We got to get back. Okay, now I got to finish. Let's see, where was I? Okay, Sheldon, I answered your question. Lawrence, I answered your question. BJM, Halisi 58, where? Oh, thank you. There's some makeup. Believe me when I tell you.
I robbed the cradle.
There's some makeup. But, so how every family has health issues. On my dad's side of the family, they have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. On my mom's side of the family, they have blood clots. I rebuked all of that in the name of Jesus. and I'm not on any medication. Both my parents were on medication by the time they were my age. I'm like that I don't receive it. Of course, I try to eat healthier and exercise. My dad, though, was always exercising, and it's just hereditary on his side. My mom, not so much exercise, did not eat very well, smoked all of her life, so no surprises there. But yeah,
But she's still doing it. She's in her 80s.
yeah. I mean, they're both. I'm blessed to have both of them alive, um, and my mom is basically in her right mind. Y'all know that my dad has dementia, but he still knows who I am. So that still makes me happy. Are the prices on Airbnb inflated for Lisbon because of demand? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll just go ahead and tell you our apartment is going to be costing us $1,300 a month for 3 bedrooms, furnished. If it were unfurnished, he would probably have, this is what I think happened. I think looking at the pictures, he got it ready for Airbnb, and then the pandemia happened. The Rona got control and everything shut down. And then he ended up doing a long-term rental to some students who were partying,
Trying to sub rent it.
sneaking folks in to live there to share the rent. And I saw what they were paying. They were only paying a couple of €100 less than what we're paying. And then he rented it. So those were guys. So then he's like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. So then he rented it to some female students. Well, they were throwing parties and everything else too. So when he saw us, he was like, yes, yes. What do you want to pay? Because I want mature people who know how to act. I don't want parties at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, when we have our dominoes and spades contest at the house, we'll have to invite him over because we're going to be loud. You know
Yeah,
how we do.
we'll have to teach him how to play spades and domino and get loud with everybody else.
Bid West and all of
That's just
that.
how, he said he was willing to learn.
Right. He wants to learn English so that we can become friends. I'm like, no, we need to learn Portuguese. Do you recommend going on a tour versus taking an independent trip for your first trip to Portugal? Is it easy to navigate by yourself? I think it depends on what kind of person you are.
Yeah, it depends on what type of person you are. You need to take an independent trip.
If you want to live there,
Right.
Let's say you're going to stay there for 3 months, and maybe you take 2 weeks and you do a tour and they show you a bunch of crap in like 2 weeks, how they do on their terms, right? Okay. But you're still going to need to do the how am I going to live here,
Hmm.
right? Um, do I feel comfortable enough not knowing the language to do business here, to go into the bank and do what you need to do, to go into the pharmacy and do what you need to do, to go into the grocery store and the this and that? You don't really get that on a tour. The other thing that Rick and I did is we got lost a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
We'll tell you how not to get lost, but we got lost a lot. And so what we found were nook and crannies of neighborhoods. And one of the cool things that I just love about Portugal, and I saw a bit of this in Spain as well as Italy, but we were mainly in the tourist places in those two countries, is that so we were trying to get to Saldana. We did a little video on it. It was like, I don't know, a minute and a half long. We're trying to get to Saldana, got off at the wrong stop. His GPS on his phone was not catching up with where we were. My phone was about to die. Forgot the charger, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, right? So we end up having to walk up this steep hill. Y'all know Portugal is like what the city of Seven Hills or something like that. This steep hill is hot. I'm probably having hot flashes, right? And we get to the top in the middle of the hill, and there's this small park with benches, and people were just chilling, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of these small parks also have like kiosks built, like permanent kiosks. And depending upon the neighborhood and the hours, a lot of times they're open and they
Mhm.
serve beer and they serve coffee. And sometimes they have some pastries Some of them even serve hamburgers and stuff like that. Just random. It's not random. Obviously, they have to have a permit, but it feels random and so cool. And so this one had a kiosk. It happened to be closed, but people use the public spaces
Mhm.
outside of the States. I saw this in Mexico as well. They use the public spaces, they chill, and that and walking around, you get a vibe for the neighborhood. Do they have as much green space as you want, right? Like we said, the apartment that we rented is literally across. When you look out the front window, there's a beautiful park right
Right across the
there,
street. Yeah.
right there. And so do they have the green spaces that you want? If that's a thing for you, how close is it to the metro? How many mini mercados, supermercados do they have? As far as getting a black barber, getting black hair care products and all of that stuff, honey, Lisbon has a ton of black folks. You will not have to worry about that. You will not have to worry about that. You will not have to worry about that at all. I'm not sure in Porto or the Algarve, but in Lisbon, they got you covered. And so I'd say, first of all, get the apps to the public transportation systems. There are
Definitely.
every system, like the ferry has their own app, Heavy Rail has their own app. It's all in our transportation video. The apps, the logos, and where you find them both for Android and iPhone. Once we got the apps, we stopped getting lost.
Yeah.
The apps also tell you when they go on strike way in advance. So you can plan around that if you have an engagement or something like that. So if you want to do the tourist thing so you can see the touristy stuff and you've got the time, but there's nothing like walking around, walking the neighborhoods to see if it vibes with you. And you just can't do that when you've got somebody selling you
Right.
the
Right.
city.
And that's what we did. We went to all the different neighborhoods and different spots to see if it vibed with us.
What
You
the
know,
hills were like.
what the hills were like, because there's plenty of hills, and like we said in one of the videos, some of them even got railings, so you can hold on when you walk up the hill. They get steep, but you got the little cute scooters too, and different things. We walked a lot up the hills and stuff like that. So
And okay, so here's the great part. I ate churros stuffed with Nutella every other day.
yeah,
I did not gain a pound, y'all. I did not gain a pound. So got to check my blood sugar, but didn't gain a pound. So in San Francisco Embassy, you don't have to get your FBI check apostilled. If you leave the envelope sealed,
yeah. Your envelope
no, you
has
do
to be
not.
sealed. It has to be sealed.
You do not. Okay. Hey, Tanya.
Hey,
Love you, love
Tanya.
you, love you, love you. Hope you're still on because I'm way behind with these things. Is it possible to obtain I think maybe it's in the next part, is a
And
NIF
if
and open bank account on a scouting trip, however, not apply for the D7 visa for Portugal until 2024? Absolutely. So y'all know that we are a part of the Our Rich Journey 365 Days to Fire cohort. And so two of the people that we met are our Colombian friends who live in Austin.
right,
Who
right.
I can never, you know their names, but I can't remember. I'm sorry if you're watching. I love you. I can't remember. I'm bad with names. So they got their NIFs.
Julian.
Okay, that's right. Gosh, about 3 years, 4 years ago. And so what he has been doing is he has regular transfers to that bank account. He transfers money every month to that bank account, and he's just letting it build up. And they haven't applied yet. They have not applied yet. They still are doing some things and maybe kid stuff and boop de boop de whoop de whoop. They know that's where they want to be, so they're doing this part. And then they also come to Portugal like every year, every other year, something like that.
A couple of
And
times actually a
yeah, and
year
spend
because they're
time.
coming in October.
Oh, that's right. So they probably use up their 3 months worth of time in Portugal every year. And so what the other important thing, once you get that NIF and you go on your scouting trip, make sure you give that NIF number out to the grocery store.
Every
And
time you
every
spend
time you
money.
spend money, I still don't have my number memorized, but I'd show them on my phone. Here's my NIF or NIF. and have them put that number in, because when the Portuguese government looks up our NIF and sees that we were there, we were spending
counts.
money.
Right.
Those are good points for us.
It counts towards your taxes and stuff
Yes,
too.
yes. June, if you start the application process for D7 from home county
Country.
or probably country USA, at what point in the process did you move to Mexico? Girl. We were in Mexico doing this stuff.
Yeah, we were in Mexico.
We were in Mexico. That's why we had to fly to San Francisco to do the interview. We had our stuff shipped to our friend Art in Los Angeles, California, who then FedExed it to us in San Francisco. Hi, Art. I think I let you know that we put your name down again for our passports.
You're going to get our passports, bud.
Love you. so yeah, we were in Mexico trying to get all of this stuff done, because I didn't think about the fact that stuff is so much easier to get done in the United States. We're used to the process. Now, for folks, like, had we been in Puerto Vallarta for like 3-4 months, we would have known about getting our notary at the embassy office there. We would have known where to get copies made. We would have known all of that stuff. The problem is that we were trying to do it as soon as we hit the ground. And Black and PV, they were answering our questions and actually showed us where to get our passport pictures, because we also had to get that done. So Black and PV is a Facebook group. I'd ask questions there, and they hooked us up. As far as the passport pictures and other stuff too. But if you're trying to get stuff done in a hurry, it takes people time to go back on Facebook and, there's a question, and answer it for you.
Yeah.
I did not think about that. But yes, you have to apply in the USA if you are applying as a United States citizen. Also, talk to someone in the Exodus Summit group who has been living in Mexico for 6 years. And she said that they also asked for her to do a criminal background check in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Because we were in and out of Mexico, we didn't have to do that. Thank you, Venus. Thank you. I can't remember the name of the company I got through Expats Portugal. So you guys might know, if you're really into Portugal, you might know of the YouTube morning show called Good Morning Portugal or something like that. And it's run by the website Expats Portugal. They have vendors that they recommend, and I'm sure they're getting a piece of the action to help with the show. So I went through one of those companies. I think it was called Imigrante, like EIM, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong because they do weird things with their letters. They were very expensive. Yeah. So you should not have to pay $6,000. I'm sure it's white glove service. What they did for us was the NIF process was seamless and perfect. But again, they did not set us up on the portal. So they didn't do everything that these other folks are going to do for us. So thank you, Don, for the happy birthday. Again, Chandra for the super chat. Okay, Justina, is the D7 permanent residency? Yes and no. Do you want to explain?
So when you get approved for the D7, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it like 2 year?
Now it's 2 years.
Now it's 2 years. So it's good for 2 years. Then you have to reapply.
But you don't have to go through all of that.
You don't have to go through all the craziness because you're already in country.
Yeah.
And they see that you're spending money in the country, and you've been, as long as you don't get in trouble.
As long as you don't get in trouble, you reapply after 2 years.
After 2 years, and that 2 years goes to
3 years. The next time it's 3 years.
And then
after 5
years, and then it's a permanent thing.
No, then it's citizenship.
It's citizenship.
There's a difference. So, because in Mexico, we got permanent residency.
Right. we're permanent residents of Mexico.
But
That
we
never goes away unless we do something totally
stupid.
stupid and they deport us and take our residency away from us. But you know, you're looking at foreign countries. They don't have the same laws that you might be used to, so you always have to
Do
do
your
your due
homework.
diligence because everything that is going on today, tomorrow, believe me, it will
It will
change.
change. And
If it
so,
hadn't already changed last night sometime.
yes, yeah.
It will change. And it's not to be facetious or anything. They do what they want to do. They can do
It's their
things
country,
how they want to do. It's their
just
country.
like the goofy stuff that's happening here.
Right. They do what they want.
So, for Portugal, and one of the reasons why it's so desirable, Justina, is after 5 years of temporary residency, you can apply for citizenship.
Yeah.
And that means we will have two passports, an American passport and a Portuguese passport, which means we will become citizens of the EU as well. As long as Putin stops acting stupid, this is a good thing. And so, unlike Mexico, it's really, really hard to get Mexican citizenship, if not impossible. I don't know what you have to go through because I'm not going through it.
I believe it's
Um,
10 years
right?
residency
And you got to
and you have to
be
be
fluent in
fluent
Spanish.
in Spanish.
For Portuguese, you do have to know how to speak, but it's level A1. So anybody who's
Yes.
learning a foreign language knows that A1 is the ability to be able to say where you're from, who your family is. This is just the basics, right? You don't have to talk about feelings or abstract ideas, just concrete stuff. Hi, yo soy Halisi, right? A1 level stuff. So that's one of the things that makes Portugal so attractive to and guys, when we first started looking at this, it was 1 year. And then the next time you went after 1 year, you got 2 years. And
Right.
then you got 3 years.
Yeah.
So things are always changing. The other thing, you did not need a 1 year lease. That's changed. You didn't need your bank account ahead of time, nor your NEEF number ahead of time. That has changed. So I say that to say every year they have a right to change. If you know that Portugal is your place and you can find a way to get there sooner than later, do that.
Do it.
4 years from now, they might not have a D7 visa. They might not need it anymore. The local residents may say, enough is enough. And we're going to vote out anybody who does not make this really, really hard or get rid of it. Our economy has come back up, whatever. They might not have it. It's not that easy to get residency in a lot of other countries in the EU. And so this is a gift that is not going to last forever. Sheldon asked, what is total of all the fees approximately do you think you've had to pay or will pay for the entire process all in? Trying to understand how much to set aside. Okay. So, as I said, Gail cost about, right now, she's in the $600 range. So there's that. The visa fee is about between 90 and $100 per person.
Right.
If you live in the city that you get to apply in, you don't have to incur the cost that we
Hotel
had for
costs,
hotel
travel costs,
and for our flight. We used points for the hotel and still had to come $100 out of pocket because San Francisco is out of control. And we spent $500 just on food.
Yeah. And you are limited to, I mean, it'd be nice if they changed it, but you are limited to embassy or consulates that you can go to for Portugal throughout the country because there's not a lot.
You're whispering.
Am I?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
whispering. So what he's saying is it tells you where to go. It's kind of like back in the day when you had to go to the school in your district. We had to go to San Francisco unless we claimed residency in another state, which means we'd have to prove that somehow, et cetera, et cetera. I wasn't going through all of that, and I couldn't from Mexico. So we, as Coloradans, had to go to San Francisco, and I hear they're opening up. They opened up a satellite office in Arizona, but they're not doing visas there.
They don't do visas.
So certain people have to go to DC, certain people have to go to Boston, certain people have to go to New York. So whatever state you live in will dictate where you go.
Hopefully that changes.
So that's the travel piece. Um, we had to come up off of the 2 months in advance plus August plus deposit. So that's going to vary depending upon what apartment you get. So you've got to factor that in. If you're going to pay someone to help you look, you need to factor that in. Um,
Insurances.
the insurance, we paid $336 for both of us for 6 months. But we already had travel insurance from when we had safety wing from when we went. So if you want to include that, that's another $2,000 for the accommodations, for our little piece of the flight, for food while we were there, for the traveler's insurance and all of that stuff. Some people don't need to do an exploratory trip. We went for our rich journey.
Right.
Let's just be true. They had meetups. We were going to be there. And so we figured, let's make this
That'll
an
be our
exploratory trip
exploratory.
at the
Right.
same time, right?
Right.
And so that's a choice you can make. But I would factor in 6 months rent. No, it should not be 6 months in advance. But if you think about if you have to pay for a month you're not there, the deposit and all like that, I would factor in 6 months rent. I would factor in $1,000 if you want somebody to help you. I would factor in another $500 with the application, the FedEx, the copies that you have to be made, the fees for notarizing, or apostille is even more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what all of that adds up to, but we might do. We're putting together an edited version because some people don't want to sit here for how long have we been on for an
2 hours
hour?
and 6 minutes.
2 hours and 6 minutes, and look at this. So we are doing an edited version, but y'all are getting stuff in real time. So yeah, 6 months worth of rent, your travel, another $500 just in little odds and ends,
Right.
buying sticky notes and this and that and the other for all of the copies. And then the FedEx costs.
Yeah, but and even on the rent side too, it depends on how you negotiate it. It depends on how you negotiate it too, to be more or less. Uh, it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at 2024 or sometime in 2023, prices change. They will change. It might be more expensive to do different things. It might. So it's understanding where you're trying to get to as far as putting a budget together and putting money aside. But then all the different things that you are looking at, I kind of always say double it.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever you think you need, double it. Um,
Because there's going to be unexpected
Yeah, so paying
stuff pop up.
Rossini, that was a pop up. We thought we left Portugal saying we basically have an agreement and we know where we're going to live. And then a week before our appointment, we have no place to live. So that was an added expense that we did not anticipate. We did pay for an attorney to look at our contract after the last time. We're like, oh no. So that was $100 extra that we did not anticipate. But we had anticipated small things like that. Um, that's probably it. That's probably it. So everything will depend upon the apartment you get. If you get it furnished or if you get it unfurnished.
Right.
We saw nice apartments for $700 and $800 unfurnished, but that was just going to be more hassle. So I'm thankful to have a furnished apartment, and then we can get our own furniture when we decide exactly where we want to live. Actually, what we want to do is just save up and pay cash for a flat. Question mark, did you have help in Mexico getting residency there? Was that for CDMX? So you probably know, Yvette, already that we got it in Puerto Vallarta. And yes, we did have help. Sonia Diaz is the company that we used. And Teresa is Tere, because she kind of goes by short, just TERE in Puerto Vallarta. is the person who works for the Sonia Diaz company who helped us out in Puerto Vallarta.
But as far as applying for it and stuff in Denver,
I did it.
she did it.
I DIY'd it all myself. But you know,
But you're in Denver, so you're at home. You're
right.
right down the street from the consulate, pretty much.
Exactly. And what we were reading, the lady from the consulate here in Denver sent me this paper with everything that we needed. Then I looked at cheetahs on the loose and things like that and what they had to go through down in Florida, and I added some things just in case.
Yeah.
So some of the things I didn't need, and some of them she looked at and said, okay, thank you. Don't really need this, but nice to know. Thanks for your feedback on Porto. Also, what neighborhood do you recommend in Lisbon? Looking for good transportation, walkable, and not too rowdy. I need to look at a map actually, but off the top of my head, we are living in it. I cannot pronounce it, but I can spell it. So it's Penha da Franca, Faranc with the little squiggly A. But there's a good part and a bad part of that. We're living in the good part. If you want to go for more modern buildings, then Saldana or Alvalade. Now, Alvalade, Alvalade, I'm probably not pronouncing it right, is in the flight path. They have insulated the buildings to accommodate and, glazed the windows to accommodate the sound.
Aircraft.
But if that doesn't bother you, like in LA, I guess I grew up in the flight path because I remember hearing airplanes all the time. So I don't think that would have bothered me. The only place that I personally would avoid is Chiado. I think that's how you pronounce it. Chiado. Principe Real. Love to hang out there, but it is in the thick of things. And write this down because I know I'm not saying it right. Cais de Sodre. It is the ferry and train station, the main one, right next to that yellow, or a couple of doors down from that yellow plaza that we all see. It's spelled Cais, another word, Do, and then Sodre is how we would pronounce it in Spanish, kind of. Sodre, but they don't pronounce it that way. So it's Sodre. Any area immediately around there is going to be the high tourist spots. I would stay east of the bridge to make sure that you have access to metro, bus, and maybe trolley. You might not need trolley, but at least the metro and the bus. You can also, if you watch our transportation video, get the app for the metro. It has the map. You can get the map on your phone and look at those stops, and then Google the stops and look at the areas around those stops.
Yeah.
That are outside of that little area that I told you around Cais de Sodre. So that's what I would suggest. Again, we love Casillas, which is on the other side of the river. It is quaint and cute and has a little bitty touristy area, just enough to give you some flavor, but not too loud. And it's mostly local tourists, not tourists from out of country.
It's truly being built up right now, too. They're adding a lot to it.
They're adding a lot to it. And again, you're just 10 minutes from the city center. So that's a neighborhood that you might want to look at too. And part of it is a lot less flat. Love you guys. 36. What? I think you're talking about the super chat, Greta. I'm not sure if, I love you guys. So thank you. 25th April 1974. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Antonio. And I'm not going to even try. Gazillion PT 1974. Thank you.
Get it right.
And to Nuno. Thank you. We are learning the history. We definitely are. It is so interesting. Can y'all really play though? I'm gonna have to catch up with y'all on the bid list. Table when I get
I
to
ain't gonna
Lisbon
lie.
in
I can't.
October, November.
I'm not the big whiz
Let me tell you about the Jackson family. On my mama's side of the family, games are taken seriously. Don't even get at the table and try to choose a partner if you do not know what you're doing. And we were when we were at Black in Portugal during the Juneteenth celebration, they had a spades tournament, and they were serious. And they were like, "We don't want you looking at each other across and trying to give each other signals." And I was like doing this kind of stuff, playing around. But yeah, they were serious too. So actually, my son is probably better at bid than I am, but I'm a pretty strong spades player. I am pretty strong.
I suck at it.
What did your consulate accept as a minimum pension amount for permanent residency in Mexico? I think between the amount of money that we had in our savings and investment accounts, and remember, guys, we have at the time about 2.5 years Denver money worth of living expenses saved up, and then just his Social Security. That 4,000, don't nobody get 4,000 Social Security. The highest you can get is 2,500, unless you wait till you're 70, and we're not about that life. But God, it's Sunday. I'm gonna preach a little, but God, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Oh, where'd it go? Is your dog flying back to Portugal with you in September? No. We are still figuring out what we're going to do with Frisco besides staying here. We have family renting from us, so that is an option. I really, really, really want to take him, but it will not be in September. We're probably going to have to make another trip home once we get our own place over a year from now, or I don't know. I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out because really, see, I try to open it up, and then we get trolls in there acting like a fool. I see you guys asking and answering other
There's
people's
Diane
questions.
Karen Louise. Haven't seen
Is
her
she
for a
there?
while.
Oh, yay! You made it live. Good to see you. Good to see you. With Portugal citizenship, are you double taxed, U.S. and Portugal? We
No.
are not tax people. So I'm not going to give you advice, but our tax person told us no. Thank you, Gazillion. You know which neighborhood I'm talking about. And it is so quaint. And we have like one, two, three little coffee shops, cafes that we can see from the window. Well, one is kind of behind it, but once we get out to the building, then yes, we can see it from the street. So we're happy. We are really happy. And yeah. With the residency in Portugal, are you required to stay there for entire 5 years without leaving to claim citizenship? When you say leave, do you mean can we not go on vacation? The answer to that is, oh yes, we can go on vacation. So I'm going to get some more clarification about this. In my mind, we had to stay there consecutively for 6 months out of the year, or not be out of the country more than 4 months. I think I mixed that up.
But not for the entire 5. You don't have to do
No,
that for the
I'm gonna
entire
get. I'm gonna
5
get
years.
that. I'm gonna get there. I think Tawana told me, and so I'm gonna triple check this, that it's actually reversed. You cannot be gone for more than 6 months consecutively while you are a temporary resident. Remember, guys, the reason why they're doing this D7 visa is to help the economy. So they need you there buying groceries and living your life, going to the movies and doing what you do, right? And so you cannot be gone for 6 consecutive months while you are a temporary resident. I heard that after the first 2 years, that time that you can be gone increases. And then after the 5 years, you can apply to get citizenship. So no, we are not. We are required to live there the whole time. But we can go on vacations and things like that, and we plan to. So I hope that I answered your question. Anything to add to that? We're going to
No.
check on the
Yeah, we'll double
consecutiveness
check and get all
thing
that.
because I think I read it wrong. And the way she explained it sounds a lot better. Gazillion, if we could bring you into the studio so you can pronounce it correctly, that would be great. If you are willing to come in, we'll share the link with you. Because I hate that I don't know the pronunciation yet. I really do. Greta, what is Amazon thinking? There was someone in, I think, Black and PV or the Brothers and Sisters of like Playa del Carmen or something like that, who bought white popcorn, put it through a food processor, and chopped it up to the consistency of grits and cooked it up. And she said, "Mwah."
That don't sound right.
So it did this kind of love chat crap. Just block user pisses me off. Thank you, Valerina. Found him. Deleted them. Here's another question. Courtney B. Are they strict with pets and renting like they are here in the US? Yes and no. Um, my
Mm.
friend brought her cat, Twana, who was in the chat. She brought her cat, no problem. Because in the city center, in the city part, mostly flats, less. We saw some single family homes like near the airport and stuff like that, but by and large, most people live in apartments and they have pets.
Yes.
So, yes, they're going to probably ask for an extra deposit. Most of the apartments are not corporately owned, they're owned by individual families. And so they can make up their own rules whether they want to allow that or not. So it works pretty much the same way as it does in the States, in that there's going to be a deposit and all of that. You said it. Are they strict? They're strict in that they don't want a pet peeing all over their house. So here in Denver, it's never more than a deposit
Yeah.
if they allow it at all. So nothing more than that
It
that I've
depends on
found.
it. I think it depends on the individual landlord.
Yeah, but we did. Rossini did visit some apartments that listed that pets were allowed. So, did you submit rental income as passive income for both Mexico and Portugal visa? Yes and no, Rhonda. We sent it, and there was a mix-up, and so it was not submitted with Portugal. But we didn't need it. We didn't need it, and at the time that we applied for Mexico, we were still living here, so we didn't have the rental income. So yeah. And it looks like we're at the end. Only 2.5 hours, y'all. What is the best thing or feature you like about your Portugal apartment? And then we will tell you why we prefer Portugal over Mexico. We love Mexico, but we love Portugal. I think the best thing about the apartment, okay, they don't believe in dryers for the most part outside the United States, it seems, because we have not seen them in Mexico. In every European country that we went to, we saw clothes hanging from
The air
balconies,
drying.
etc.,
Right.
etc. So I wanted a washer in the apartment. We got that. Bonus, we got a dishwasher too. I think the biggest feature is the space because that was the only apartment we saw with a master bedroom big enough to comfortably have a king size bed and lots of space on the side, plus built-in wardrobe and enough space for a desk and a chair. So it's the space, the landlord, and the location. Most of all, I have no idea if the furniture still looks like it does in the picture. We will see when we get there, but you can't change the space. So I think that way, and it has been updated too. So I think those were the best things because when you're talking about the city center of Lisbon, Portugal is old. compared to the United States. Europe is old compared to the United States. Some have been updated, some have been partially updated. Some had things hanging from the ceiling and wanted 14,000 euro in advance and had the nerve to say that with a straight face while not being on drugs. So the fact that it's updated and fully furnished, nice space, 5 to 10 minutes from the metro station in the heart of the city with a beautiful view of the park, beautiful view of the city. And this neighborhood has its own pool and recreation center just up the street. I don't know what the fees are yet. Oh my gosh. So when you see the sweetheart, just go block user.
Yeah, I don't want to reach
So
across.
I think that for me, what about you, sweetheart?
I just like the room. It's roomy. We have a dedicated space that we're going to take and use for an office so we could shoot our videos and different things like that. And we were kind of
Yes.
looking for that. And we actually got the third bedroom or the third room being a three-bedroom at a good price. So
Yes.
that's what I was kind of happy with. And the landlord seems cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look
He's
forward
he's
to
still
meeting him.
selling us. He's still selling us on the apartment. So, and yes, we do have air conditioning. It's not central. Y'all know they don't have central air, but each of the rooms
Each room.
has its own air conditioned unit. Did you say your apartment is 1,500 for 3 bedrooms? What is typical for an updated 1 bedroom in Lisbon? So it was listed for 1,500. We got it for 1,300. Um, and we didn't look at 1 bedrooms because we do this YouTube thing, and it breaking down and setting up is a pain. We learned that being in Airbnbs, it's just really a pain in the butt. But when I was getting desperate, I was finding 2 bedrooms unfurnished for, like I said, in nice neighborhoods, updated enough to make this picky American with a beer budget and a champagne taste happy for 700 euro to 800 euro. So um, I believe it depends on whether you want it furnished or not, that you can find a furnished 1 bedroom for the same price as an unfurnished 2 bedroom. Um, You also want to make sure that they've updated the windows and things like that. Also, you want to look at the energy rating. So in Portugal, that the government will rate your apartment, and whether it's registered or not, it will have to say that in the listing. And it's A to like G rating. A being the best, highly insulated, everything like that. I've heard of people wearing parkas in the winter. We should have asked our landlord about that. We did not. So you all will see in January, February, if these Denverites who are used to snowy winters are freezing our butts off. So yes, we have AC. And thank you, Antonio. Oh gosh, here they are back again. Antonio, are we going to have to hire you for some lessons here? You know, um, so papel, yeah, same in Spanish. So okay, if you know Spanish, don't think you can speak Portuguese, but you can at least read stuff in context and figure stuff out. Seriously, I know people say, no, 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 no. But for me, when I started Google walking around Portugal and looking at the signage and stuff, I could figure it out in context with the 2 years of Spanish that I've had. I'm not kidding myself that I can speak a word beside good morning and sorry and where's the bathroom, right? I'm not kidding myself. I know I cannot, but figuring it out on paper is a plus. It definitely, definitely is. So I think we have done it, y'all. We have done it. We have our first Sunday family finance call. You guys know that we have been teaching our kids, adopted kids, you know, my play cousin in them, finance, so that one, when we pass on what we are building to our kids, they know what the heck to do with it. And secondly, all of the people who have loved and nurtured us along the way, we want to teach them as well. And so
Yes.
please, if you have not liked, please like this video. As far as next week, I'm not sure. We will have the Yarbros. We will have
Yes.
the Yarbros,
Yeah,
but I'm
bros.
not sure if it's going to be next week. They emailed us and are having Airbnb hiccups. So they're not sure where they're going to be. They're going to let us know. If not, we've got something special planned as a backup, but I'm going to keep that a surprise for now. Y'all know we're going to keep, boy, see, I'm going to have to close this chat again. Block user. I'm going to have to close the chat if we have to keep seeing bots in our chat. It's just really crazy.
They ain't got nothing better to do.
They don't have, well, no, they must get something out of it. Yes, Portuguese has similarities with Spanish, but are different languages. Yes, yes, yes. So don't make the mistake of speaking Spanish in Portugal. And here's the crazy thing, Antonio. It doesn't matter what country I'm in. When I hear a foreign language, I think speak Spanish because that's the only other language I have in my brain right now. But when I was in Mexico, I said "Bom dia, boa tarde," and they looked at me like, "What the hell is she
Yeah, what are
saying?"
you saying?
Maybe it's just my love for Portugal. I don't know. I don't know. But we're going to wrap it up. So please like, please subscribe. We thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you for the super chats. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for the super chats. We are building our scholarship fund for Beyond the Bling. We're going to roll that back out in October. Adelia is going to be back on. Rich and Regular is coming on. Um, we've got Michelle. I think Michelle from Afro Expats will be coming on. So we're going to be bringing the folks who have other information to you. And I don't see any more questions. So bye, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you. See you later.
See you later.